For ACUSports.com, I'm Grant Boone, talking some Wildcat football here with head coach Ken Collums, whose team is getting ready on a Halloween Saturday to welcome in the mighty McNeese State Cowboys. Coach, 7-0, the McNeese State Cowboys, number 7 in the nation. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, and on film, they look the part, don't they?
They sure do. There's a reason they're undefeated. They're a quality program from top to bottom. You try to find matchups. You try to find little situations, scheme-wise, that you can take advantage of. But these guys are solid. They make you execute at a high level in order to stay in the game. There's so much defensively. Like when you watch them, the biggest thing is their defense. That's who they are. It's a constant pressure on an offense. And if you're not sharp, if your quarterback's not sharp, if your running back and offensive line communication and pass protection is not sharp, then it'll take less than 2 seconds for that play to totally fall apart. And that's what they've done. That's what they've done to people from start to finish. And they've got a quarterback in Daniel Sams he's a phenomenal athlete. And
he was in the Big 12 even.
Yeah, no doubt. And you can have the right defense called, have a guy on him, and still your guy may not make the play because he's such a good of an athlete. So we've got our hands full on Saturday.
Coach, you never want to go into a game thinking that you need to play perfectly, because I'm not sure there's ever been any team that's ever played a perfect game. And yet, when you look at your team shorthanded because of the slew of injuries you've been fighting through, there is a sense, isn't there, that even one dropped ball, for example, by a receiver, even one slightly misdirected pass, that could be the difference in staying in a game, couldn't it, against a team this good?
That's right. You can't go out there and not play well at all. But they force you to not play well at times. And so we've got to go play well, and we need some good things to happen in the course of a game. We need a couple of turnovers. And
you got them last year against McNeese.
Yes, that's right. We got a bunch of them, and that's how we were able to get back in the game. But we need to play well, and we need to play way more consistent than we have. And our guys are going to get plenty of shots at winning one-on-one situations with the ball in the air, referring to our receivers, and we're going to have to make some of those plays.
Is this a game in which what happens with your quarterbacks before the ball is ever snapped may be as important as what happens after it's snapped?
This week it would be both, because if you've got a body on a body, protection-wise, you've still got to get it done. And because these guys are so twitchy, they're going to win, by and large, a lot of one-on-one matchups with offensive linemen, with tight ends, and with running backs in pass protection. And they've done it for 7 games now. They've beaten the guy in front of them. So it's a deal where, you know what, we've got to be smart on how we throw the ball down the field, and it's not going to be just a drop back game. And because the teams that do that, they get their quarterback hit. And so you take all that pressure off of your quarterback by running the ball. We've got to be able to run the ball a little bit. And last week we chipped away at it a little bit. We're still relying too much on the big play. Last week against Incarnate Word, we had 2 one-play drives. And you can't sustain it. It's awesome that you're scoring points, but you can't sustain that. And when we weren't doing that, we were not scoring points. So we got to play more consistently on offense.
You did get Richard Griffin III back last week against Incarnate Word. He had missed a handful of games with a foot injury. When you see what Richard Griffin III, what freshman Jabari Butler, what the freshman Junior Henderson can do in that secondary, they're going to need big games here in the next 4 weeks, but that also gives you a little bit of optimism for the future, doesn't it?
Oh, sure. And a lot of what we're going through is because we've got a lot of youth out there. And you ask any head coach and any coordinator, hey, I'm gonna give you a bunch of young guys. You're gonna go out there and play with them, and they will. Their first question is like, are you sure? Do I have to do that? But this thing is about growing a program, and that's what everybody has to understand. And I've got to remind myself that, because when you're going through a skid like this, it hurts, and it doesn't matter if we would have gone 11-0, we still wouldn't have made the playoffs. It doesn't matter anything. You're not winning a game, but what I have to remind people, hey, this is a program, and in 2017, when we're eligible to make the playoffs, that is the goal. You know what? Everything is being tailored toward that year and from years on.
What would be tough to me, I would think, as a head coach, is wanting to say, okay, 4 games left. I want to see what Kalen Sadler can do maybe at the wide receiver position, what Chris Lyde can do. They've played a few snaps, but you've also got some seniors that you want to honor by giving them snaps as well. How do you balance that?
Well, the thing is, it's about winning every game. You do whatever you can to win each game, and with those guys have put in a lot of work here, and they are ACU. The ACU football. You with your older guys, you play them. You let them finish out their career because it doesn't matter if you're going to make the playoffs or not. Those guys are here to contribute to wins, and so that's what we'll do with them from here on out.
Is there anyone of the ones who've missed games recently who might be back this week, or is it too early to tell?
It's still too early to tell. Herschel didn't play last week. We should have him back. Our fullback situation is still pretty poor. We may have one or two of those guys back. Last week was a situation where we didn't have a fullback going into that game, and we use a fullback quite a bit, and due to a lot of different circumstances, we ran out of them. We lost 2 of them in practice last week, so we'll have some guys coming back, but right now it's a little bit too early to tell, but we need all of them back as soon as they can get here.
All right. Well, it is ACU and the number 7 in the nation, McNeese State Cowboys, on Saturday at Shotwell Stadium. That's a 2:30 kickoff game that'll be televised regionally, and we'll have the broadcast for you on the ACU Sports Network beginning at 2 p.m. For Coach Ken Collums, I'm Grant Boone for ACUSports.com.